So is it business as usual or are projects changing? I think it's essential that projects need to change, Holly. The industry downturns given companies the opportunity to kind of reflect on how they do business, look at some of the problems we had previously with project execution. A large number of projects are not executed well. And for clients that represents a big risk in terms of them being able to finance. So it's essential that we make change. So no, it's definitely not business as usual. Fundamentally, we need to change the way we work. Well, the challenges at this time when we're starting to see some recovery really are we see two issues really. One is avoiding going back to the normal way of working, which is a temptation when things start to recover quickly. And the other really is the human capital aspect of it. There's been a large loss of people during the downturn. And now the industry starts to recover, and we certainly find that trying to find the right competencies in the right locations that we need them is very, very difficult. So I think that's going to be a challenge for everybody. I hope it doesn't result in a big scramble for resources, because that will just result in price inflation and we'll be back to where we were before the downturn. So I can only really speak for SBM because I'm not so aware of what other companies have done, but at SBM we invested quite a lot. So we invested in retaining a larger workforce than we really had work for. And with that extra investment, we invested it in our Fast Forward program, which really was to look at changing the way in which we would deliver projects to make it more, if you like, a kind of manufacturing approach to FPSOs. So we do more pre-engineering work ahead of projects arriving to kind of really develop a product. And then when we go to execute projects, we're really configuring our product for particular clients. And that's really changed the way in which we work and given us much improvement in terms of cost and in terms of schedule. But we still have some way to go. And that program itself has really transformed from being really product focused into more a new way of working for the company. That plus digitalization, which we heard two speakers talk about today, are going to be really the kind of major driving forces going forward, I think. So what we need to invest in. So a lot of it is we need to continue to invest, I think, in innovation. And not just necessarily technology-related innovation, but also innovation with respect to business models, innovation with respect to partnering models. I think this industry has been relatively poor at adoption and speed of innovation, if you like, in terms of how we implement that into projects. And I think that really, really needs to improve if the industry wants to transform. And everybody's talked about the energy transition and moving from FPSOs to gas and to renewables. And what today is perhaps optional in FPSOs will be essential and mandatory when you come to renewable market, because it's much more highly competitive and you need to be much more agile and have a more competitive differentiation in that market, really. So for bankable projects and financing, I think I touched on it a little bit earlier. I think the big challenge for financing these projects is a bit the track record that we have in delivery of projects which are over schedule and over budget. That gives lack of credibility to the industry as a whole. So I think as an industry as a whole, we need to find a way to de-risk projects. And that just doesn't mean basically on the job trying to manage risk or basically trying to work more closely and let's all be friends. It means fundamentally changing the way you do things to remove really the whole risk associated with a project schedule. If you can be on schedule, most probably you'll be on budget. So a large focus should really be on schedule. So I think what happens next? So I think that's going to be a real interesting, I think the speed of innovation and the change taking place within the industry today is huge. Not only is everyone starting to talk about digitalization and the impact that could have, and that could have huge impact, but also we're right in the middle of this energy transition. And the time for that transition is really unknown. How quickly we will go from oil today to being more renewable with gas in the middle, nobody really knows. So companies need to be a lot more agile and be able to adapt, but you also need to be investing today in what you see as the future. It's no good just being stuck in the FPSO market with blinkers on and thinking, I'll just wait for it to recover, I go back to the way I used to do business. So really, what happens next? I don't really know, but I think it's going to be quite an exciting time.